Hello dear viewer, I'm leesusss and welcome back to Hydroneer. Do you like what I've done with the place? Feel free to use terms like ravaged wasteland, environmental disaster or anything similar. Anyway, so the quite a few changes around here. The beast has gone. It was here and we have something new over that way, but we might not be talking about that this video. Maybe not. We'll see. Let's go do something else first. Do you like my big digger? This is the Hydrominer. It's actually quite cheap. It doesn't take just a little over 1,000 I think to buy this. By the way, that's a good view. Feel free to enjoy the heavy industry noises happening outside as well, as builders are incredibly ruddy noisy outside my house. Anyway, never mind. This is this is an interesting device. So we're going to take it for a little drive when I talk about it. So game, don't start being laggy on me. I'm not in the mood. Okay, so it handles very much like the hydro truck, and in which case not very well. But what should we cover first? Let's just cover the handling in general. The main difference really is if you look at the steering, that's about as good as it gets. So why are you not steering left more? It's really odd about how it steers. See what I mean? It's not steering as much to the left that way. There's definitely an error on there somewhere. And also going in reverse, the way the wheels turn, doesn't want to turn left very much. It never seems to want to, but I don't know why. It's very frustrating. It's very hard to maneuver. So in terms of speed and everything else like that, it's fine, but moving it around is really tricky, and it's an odd choice from the creator. Because someone even... Oh, it's now not turning again. Turn! Someone even said on one of the comments on Reddit that, well, you know, I drive heavy machinery, which I don't believe for a minute, and some of them do have very bad turning circles. And it's like, it's not really very true. A lot of the big equipment can have bad turning circles because it's flipping huge, but in fact, or hard to turn rather because they're huge. But in fact, turning circles on heavy-duty machinery like this are in fact usually pretty good. They have to be to manoeuvre around the sort of stuff that happens, the sort of landscapes they work upon. So that's a bit of a pain. It can be very irritating, and it also suffers from the same issue as the Hydro truck in that it's a little bouncy, to say the least. You know, it tends to hit things and then go into like some mad death spiral in the sky, because I think it's probably made out of, I don't know, sunshine and fairy dust, possibly. I don't know, moonbeams. It's ridiculously light, this device, and the number of times I've said it flying into the sky has been rather too much, especially again when you combine that with the difficult to manoeuvre. So that's rather tricky, but more of the issue generally is, and combined with that, is that is it actually going to make it? You know, it's doing more than it does normally. It has really low traction. So, come on. There we go. Making it sluggish to move like that is one thing, and hard to manoeuvre is something else. But then the complete lack of traction most of the time is the most important filter, and the lack of weight to it. You could make it a really slow device and I'd be happy, but, well, happy-ish. But the inability to manoeuvre because of the traction is the main problem. So I'll find that this is quite shallow here really, but in a lot of the areas you've got a big ridge here. We see it back at the main base that we have. There's a big ridge there. It's really hard for this thing to go up and over it, or even just a tiny bump like this. Actually, let's see if we can do that. Let's see how well it maneuvers over a slightly bumpy landscape. Now I'm treating it gently because I know how the damn thing handles, but I can't just go full power over anything or anything like that. And if I stop for a bit, let's hope I don't get stuck, but I might get stuck. I've gotten stuck very easily on what really are just minor bumps. Here's more typical. Okay, that's a more typical thing that happens. So the bumps we're talking about that are causing this are this. It's hardly extreme, and it's not because of the digger, by the way, either. That doesn't tend to pass through the landscape quite easily. It's just it's not much fun to try and manoeuvre. Okay, enough about the handling and everything like that. This is an area I bought, by the way. Bought it recently. This is the cheap one. It's about 950 coins, so quite cheap. The other thing is how you use it. So, left mouse button, and then moving the mouse, let me move it up and down. Right, let's be spin the drive head. And the last thing is, it hasn't got enough stuff in there to eject it, but that port out the side there, that big hole, spits out the stuff that you dig up. And in lumps of dirt, essentially. So initially when I tried to use this, I couldn't get it to work, and I wasn't sure why. That's because I'd rebound the keys. So standard key bindings are... I'm never going to maneuver this around here. Hold on. Oh god, this is going to be bad. Hold on. E on the keyboard. E for picking up items, and left like the brush, or anything like, or the spade, and left mouse button to actually use them. Come on. Oh, it actually made it. That's a miracle. Again, passing through objects and not others. I rebound those to right mouse button to pick things up, and left mouse button to do something with it. The trouble is, when you rebind those keys, it doesn't rebind these ones. So when it came to left mouse button, right mouse button for me clashed with what the game thought of as the E button, the action button for doing things. So I couldn't eject the dirt, essentially, is what I'm trying to get to. And I think this was a fix because someone else I remember reporting on Reddit had an issue where every time they dug something up, because they'd rebound the keys, it immediately sprayed out the side. Like the poor device had some sort of terrible tropical stomach disease, gut disease. So we fixed that. But my only other issue with the device, yeah, I've got one more, is how it digs. Now, it digs really well. You probably saw those massive holes I'd made at the start in the first area. So, for example, you can, let's pick a good area over here, just get a big spinner like this and go and make a massive hole in the ground, yeah, very quickly. But you might notice that very little has changed inside the hopper, and the game seems to have an odd choice about how it chooses how much has gone into the hopper. Can I spit anything out? Bloop. 2, 3, 3. 3 mid-sized chunks, okay? For that big old hole down there, that's like 3 shovelfuls. Maybe, let's call it, say 6 shovelfuls if we're being generous. That hole there is like the size of 20 shovel holes. Okay, you can probably see where I'm going with this. Maybe a bit of a problem. I'm not sure. Is this running out of fuel as I'm just sitting? Is it idling? It might be. Never mind. So, I think the game has a slight odd choice about how it calculates the dirt. I think it might be that for every tick of game time that the cutting head is in contact with the soil, it collects X amount of dirt. But because it's so quick to dig through a big hole, if you dig very quickly, you get very little in here. That's option 1. Option 2 might be that this device is just really inefficient on here. So I think the best way to probably use it is, which is the way I'm going to be using it, is let's get away from this actually. I want to choose a different area. This is quite bumpy around here. So what you do is you approach slowly. Let's get a good angle on this if I can. Oh, as it starts to engage like that, I don't put the drive head any further into the ground until it stops producing dirt. I just edge my way forward. And what I'm planning on doing, if I can, is to slowly skim the surface off of this area. So I've got a nice flat area. I don't think it's actually going to work because of the way it handles. But that's the plan. So I'm going to slowly skim the layer off of this. And I will, because I'm already stuck, and I will slowly trim areas off of here. Is the way I'm planning to do it. It's already clashing more than I thought it might do because of the bumpiness of the whole device. But there you go. That's what I'd like to do though. Okay? That's the plan. I've now got a full hopper full. So what do I do with this hopper full? Why am I messing around with this digging? Oh, I'm out of control now. No, 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 no. Come on. Come on. Slow down. Here we go. What am I going to do with this big digger full of dirt if I don't take a spin on the way back? Well, when I started buying new areas... slow down. I I thought, well, the obvious thing is either to build a harvesting unit, a beast type unit at every single location and collect the stuff. But of course I can't leave them all running all the time, because that just slow down device, because I can't do that, you know, that's impossible. Or I can make a centralized factory, and I go and dig up dirt from one location, I bring it to the factory, and I there, and then process the dirt there, and that way I can manage the processing and filter, breakdown, and all the other massaging of the devices to keep them working, keep the factory working in one central place while I'm there. Sounds good, huh? And in fact, where we just were is probably the ideal place to put it because of its centralized location. It's a relatively flat area and will work a lot better for a centralized factory. But there you go. On a replay, if I replay this game, that's probably what I'd do. And if you're going to get this game, do the same thing. It's not very expensive area, like 950 coins to buy that other area. It's the top area of the 3 areas on the right hand side, the one that's furthest north, and you should be able to use that to make a good central factory for processing the dirt. It's a big area as well. Okay, so what do I do now? Well, now we have fun. Hopefully I'm not going to flick this thing into the wild blue yonder. So the plan here is to drive the device onto here. Now, there's 2 problems here. One is the manoeuvring of the device of the Hydrominer, which is kind of tricky, and I might just get it stuck. Second is, of course, I put it a bit too far to the right. This is about as far right as you can build something. Well, it is as far right as you can build something before the game starts saying that's not your area, you can't build there. Oh, am I stuck? I might be. I might be stuck. It seems to change its mind about which is the drivables as well. Come on, game, you can do. I don't have to reset from here, but I think I'm going to have to. I think I'm actually stuck. Okay. Oh, it might be out of fuel. It could possibly be. I messed around for a long time. It might be out of fuel. Yeah, it is. Okay, that's an easier fix to do. By the way, this thing is designed to refuel as well. Look at this hole I've dug here. Ridiculous. Anyway, so I built it for too far to the side, partly because have I got a spare bucket or something around here? No, I must have one. I can use a little bucket if it comes to it. There we go. Look at this primitive actions. Just don't like using just flick a bucket. That's monstrous. The other problem is trying to refill this thing is kind of tricky. Can I get up high enough? Duh, probably not. You can't stand on the device very easily. Is part of the issue here. I might have to build something. Oh, I'm down a hole. Oh no. Right. Right. Hopefully that'll be just enough fuel to get manoeuvring around here. Normally I do less driving around than that. I just drive somewhere, dig something up, and then I stop. Okay. So yeah, I built it too far over, but that was partly because the beast was in the way, and I was trying to raise money while building it. So in other circumstances, I would have changed that. Also, I was busy, if you can probably see there's a big hole over there, I was busy digging up the other side of the river using this thing, and I built a ramp straight ahead so I could get this monster all the way across. Don't, game, come on, you can do this. But I would love if they would fix this a bit more. Okay, that might nearly be right in the right place. So what I'm trying to do here is line those 2 things up. So at some point I think I'm going to move this over to the other side. But there we go. Right. Now, that might be lined up. That's a feed pipe which puts water into here. So, here is the start of the factory. But it's not quite there yet. The idea is to take the supply of stuff out here and up to here. Now, that's the ridge here. There's a reason for all these things. This is not just thrown together. There's a reason why I've done these bits and pieces. The reason this drops down to a lower level is because if you I noticed when you transfer between conveyor belts going in different directions, there's a tendency, if they match the same height, for the piece of dirt to end up, in this case, along this left-hand edge. Whatever's happening, as long as it just falls out, so you get spillage. But by dropping it off and retraining it by these little steel plates here, it's likely to end up more towards the middle and feed properly through the machine. So I get very little spillage along here. That's the reason why. By the way, also, I know it's rather ugly the fact that, you know, this is one pipe, by the way. The one pipe that feeds these conveyor belts comes all the way around here to feed water into here as well. And you might be thinking, why aren't you feeding water into this end of this run of conveyor belts? And unfortunately, it's a general problem with the conveyor belts and the pipes, in that to get water into here, I'd have to have a pipe that came up to here and connected. But you can't do that because the conveyor belt gets in the way. You can't feed in anywhere else on this system here. So a pipe gets in the way. And I tried various things with putting a pipe on and then having like slopes of plates to try and, as the dirt came off this conveyor belt, as it hit the pipe and bounced to one side or the other, I tried to capture it in various ways with bits of sheets to guide it back onto a conveyor belt. Didn't really work very well. So the answer is, this end is the dead end, and unfortunately this end is the feed end. Which is awkward because I've got this great big loop of pipe with the corresponding loss of pressure, and I have to have a pressure valve here with a great big lump of shard bar in there to keep it going. But there you go. That's what we've got so far. So hopefully, if it's lined up properly, it's refilled the tank of this, and conveyors moving to catch the dirt coming out across. Okay, so that's one pipe. Second pipe is over here. Here's the harvester. Next, these three grinders are not completely next to each other. Originally I had them butting up next to each other. If you do that, as the output comes out, so I have a small piece of dirt from one, hit pieces of dirt in the previous one and become bigger again, they join together, and you end up with larger pieces of dirt coming out this side, which is inefficient. We want the smallest piece of dirt possible, and I found 3's about right. Maybe 4 could do it better, but 3's about right. So that's why they're 3, and that's why they're spaced. Here's the feed for this one. It doesn't need any pressure vessel, thankfully, or anything like that. But generally, you get quite nice small pieces of dirt, mostly coming out of here, and they're funneled into here. And lastly, we have the actual... this is running all the time, by the way, this one. The actual grinder here, which is using... So the feed for these belts is separate. It's buried under here somewhere. The feed for this is coming from over here and has a pressure vessel with a little tiny crystal shard in there left to run that. And it's filtered water, because this is the only thing that needs filtered water, is this here. We haven't got any drills working right now, because I don't like the drills. The drills don't work very well. They're over there in the naughty corner, because they go wrong a lot. They break all the time, and I'm frustrated with them. I might come back to them later to clear out some of this, but for now, that's what's happening. We're just using this thing to dig up the dirt. Right, so the products of the harvester come out here, and you'll notice that I've got the crucibles already set up on the crucibles set up on the furnaces, they call them. I think they're called furnaces in this game. I think it's gold, iron, and shards, I think, and the last one is for... Let's replace this. It's for gems. Come on, get up there, me. Which doesn't need to be melted. It needs to be. They need to be ground down, cut gems. So this is sufficient. Now I was originally worried because you remember before I had all these funnels guiding stuff into the crucibles, and I was worried that without that they might miss. But in fact, when things come out of here, we'll look in a second, they tend to fall out directly in the centre. So pretty much always end up in here. I've not seen any fall into here at all. They always end up in the crucible. So this is a perfectly good way of doing it. Just like this. Okay, and it stays melted. There's one big problem with that, but we'll come to that in a minute. Let's get some grinding done. So that's running. The last one is this one. There's the harvester running. And let's go get some dirt out, shall we? So, eject. I said eject. And what I do is I wait till they just pass the front of that plate, and I chuck another one out. There we go. And down comes the dirt. 1, 2. Let's see how many we get out. You can see the hopper dropping appreciably. Over there. Okay, we've got quite a few. I'm not going to count them all. That will do for now, I think, to observe the process. Observe. There's one... Let's see how small they get when they come through here. Here they come. See how they hang in their part and how they can be. So they're tight, quite tight, nice, tiny pieces. You get some slightly bigger ones. So maybe your 4th grinder should be good. That's pretty good. There's one big negative to this, which annoyed me a little bit, which is that you can see the things start to fill up here. I had, by the way, look at them falling out the centre. They're pretty centralised every time. So unless you're completely skewed, they tend to be okay. There's a crystal. This works okay, by the way. But the idea that it's the idea that you're not wasting material because non-molten pieces are falling into molten metal. It all works out okay. All right. So that's all great. But there's one problem with this. Do not log off the game while you have materials in liquid in a crucible, because the material will vanish, is what I've found. At least it's happened at least once. I lost a lot of material because essentially what I dug out around this area, because I logged off, and I came back and there was nothing in the crucibles, which you know, you probably shouldn't leave an ultra metal lying around like that permanently heated. That's fine. So the only thing to remember is to log off. That's it. That's all the dirt. What was that? Like 16 pieces we got out, maybe? I don't know. For most of a hopper. But a good amount out. So this seems to work really well. What's the next plan then? You might be thinking. Well, this all seems to work pretty well. I want to keep on digging stuff out. I want to keep on finding relics, is what I want to do. And I've already found a couple of interesting items around here we'll look at in a minute. Let's see how this is running. See, I've not seen any spillage at all. You'd see them on here. What I want to do is box this in and make it look nice. There's various decorative items you can put in. Maybe one more conveyor, actually. Maybe one more grinder. Might be nice. Yeah, it's easy enough to do. We all done yet? Okay, let's turn it all off then. Off. Off. I mean, really, there's only two to worry about. Which is this one here, because it's using up shards. And this one here, you could leave this one running. It's just inconvenient to do so, generally speaking. Right. Okay, let's have a little measure, shall we, of how much we got out. And this is gold. We didn't process a huge amount there, but we'll see what we got out. I've got a set of scales now. Here we go. 400. That's not bad. Well, let's cast it away. I need somewhere better to keep these. Of course, it looks like a big bar because that's the biggest bars that they get. But it's not actually that big. Let's be neat and tidy. Put it back where I want. So I'll show you how easy. Remember I used to fiddle around before about placing these crucibles back? That'll do. That's close enough, yeah? That's pretty straight. There's no like careful placement mechanic or anything like that. Just drop it in, and generally speaking, unless you're completely off, be in the right place. There we go. Yes, there's quite a small, it's not a very big iron bar, but then I'm digging from the surface. I wouldn't expect much iron to be there. In the surface areas, you're going to get more gold. Oh, I've not put it back, have I? Never mind. It'll be a tiny shard bar, I'm sure. Teeny weeny one. Yes, that's what I expected, really. Okay, so yeah, so I want to tidy this up with some of the decorative items to make it look kind of nice. And oh, I haven't hammered this one down yet, have I? That is one of the plans. Some of this is hammered down, some of it is not. But highly areas that get a lot of contact from me need to be, because I'm like to pick these things up by accident. And what's in here? Probably not very much. A few like this. Exactly like that. Anyway, that's one of the things I'll be fixing. I haven't done it that long ago, and I'm still sorting stuff out. There we go. Anyway, so make it look nicer around here. I want a processing area. I've got plans for the best way to process the material. So pouring out the bars like this, and how to turn them into items as efficiently as possible, which I've been doing a little bit with a bit of area management, sort of work area management over there. I need to do some more of that. And the last thing is the ropes. I was planning on making this a short video, but let's make it a longer one anyway. Whatever. Let's see how it goes. If you watch this much of the episode, you know, maybe you don't care so much if it's a longer video. I don't know. Two things I found. So, this is apparently a bag. It's hard to see because it holds it very strangely. It's a bag of seeds, is what it is. And I found it under there. Apparently you can find these in various places. I found it, and these areas seem to be conserved, by the way. I found it over here. So if you're doing digging, I think they will always be in the same sort of space. Apparently by using it, you put some plants down. I don't know if it's a one use or not, but these are the purple flowers which I see around the area. So when I've done the decorative parts, I might try and put that down somewhere nice, if it's a one use or not. And the other thing I've got here is I found the relic for this area. So each of the 4 areas, dig areas, have relics. Here it is, here. It's, a sword relic. Bit battered. I dug it up with the miner, so I might have done some damage to it. I don't know. But over here, I haven't shown you this yet. Over here is the Cave of Wonders. And supposedly, to put your relics in here. I'm not really sure. There's not really a clear instructions on what to do with relics, but when I've found them all, maybe something wonderful will happen when I've got them all in here. Listening with them. I don't know, it's not much of a display area, is it? So I'm going to go around and I'm going to dig up the other areas, and I'm going to get the relics out of each, is the plan. So I'm getting close to finish this game. I want to show you this thing as when it's finished up, being built up. Fall down the hole. And I want to neaten this factory up. I want to make the production area somewhere around here. We haven't even done fishing yet. There's fishing involved in the game as well. A little bit of fishing as well. And tidy this place up. Dig around a little bit more. Raise a bit more capital. But essentially I'm sort of at the end game here where I can just keep digging things up. I want to find those relics and we'll see what happens. So there you go. Hope you're enjoying this. I want to see more from the dev soon, hopefully. What they're doing next with the area, what they're improving. They're doing it on a lot of consoles as well. I think it's already released onto the console, so that's obviously making things trickier to add updates into the game and what you prioritise. But otherwise, it's been good fun. For the money I spent on it, well worth on it. Well worth it. And we'll see how many more videos we can get out of this. And one of them maybe I'll do on efficiencies as well, possibly with this, versus simply digging stuff up. I don't know. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. A little bit of an update there. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you again next time.